I always was laughing when people thought, oh, that's a publicity stunt. I'm like, a publicity stunt? This is real. We have real feelings. And so
something was off from the very first photo. Not wrong exactly, just off. In the way that makes people stop scrolling and look twice. Two actors decades apart in age, standing a little close on a red carpet. Laughing a little too easily, like they'd known each other for years instead of a few months on a film set. Within days, half the internet had a theory. By the end of the summer, everyone did. It started innocently enough. In July, the Naked Gun reboot was gearing up for release, and Pamela Anderson and Liam Neeson were doing what co-stars do. Sitting side by side on a talk show couches, posing together at premieres, answering the same handful of press tour questions in city after city. A comedy built on decades of slapstick history. A legacy title carrying real expectations. The kind of press tour that's usually forgettable within a week. Except this one didn't look like promotional duty. It looked like something else entirely. And the internet noticed before the studio's own marketing team seemed to. Every appearance added fuel. Hands intertwined during a radio interview. Lingering just a beat too long to be casual. A hug that ran a few seconds past what publicity photos usually allow. Reporters who'd covered 100 press tours started commenting on it too. The body language, the eye contact, the way Neeson seemed to angle himself toward her in every shot without anyone directing him to. Then came the moment that broke the internet completely. The two of them on the Today Show, leaning in and pretending to kiss on live television. The host visibly caught off guard, scrambling to laugh it off on air while the clip was already being clipped and reposted before the segment had even ended. It circulated for days, dissected frame by frame, captioned 100 different ways. And just when people thought that was the peak of it, Neeson said something in a separate interview that changed the entire conversation. He was, in his own words, madly in love with his co-star. That one line detonated. Suddenly, this wasn't tabloid speculation anymore. It was a 72-year-old man on record, saying it out loud, no wink, no qualifier. Entertainment outlets ran timelines. Fans dissected every photo for clues, comparing premiere footage to the radio clip to the Today Show moment, building out a whole private mythology in a real time. Older interviews resurfaced, including one from the year before where Neeson had been asked point blank whether he still dated. His answer had been simple and final. No, he was past all that. He'd been effectively out of the dating game since losing his wife, Natasha Richardson, back in 2009, aside from one brief relationship years later that hadn't lasted. So why everyone wanted to know? Was this the exception? What had changed for a man who'd made peace publicly with being alone? Nobody had an answer. Not Anderson, not Neeson, not a single representative on either side. The silence went on for weeks, and it should have been suspicion in itself. Silence usually is in this business. But instead, people filed the gap with their own conclusion, each one more convinced than the last that they'd cracked the mystery. Fan accounts posted timelines like investigative dossiers. Comment sections turned into courtrooms, split down the middle between the romantics and the skeptics. Then, just as the public was ready to accept the romance at face value, a very different story started making the round. Sources began telling entertainment outlets that the entire thing had been staged, not organically, but deliberately. Allegedly coordinated between the actors, publicists, and the studio itself. Timed to generate exactly the kind of headlines it was generating. At exactly the moment a midsummer comedy needed a jolt of attention to compete at the box office. The claim didn't stop there. According to these reports, Neeson and Anderson supposedly hadn't seen each other at all in the time between wrapping filming and started the press tour. Their dinners together, the story went, were strictly professional. Always chaperoned by assistants. Never anything close to romantic. Every touch, every lingering look, allegedly blocked out like a scene. If that version of events was true, it meant every soon-worthy photo from the summer had been calculated from the start. A marketing strategy dressed up as chemistry, engineered to sell tickets to an audience that loves nothing more than an unlikely real-life romance playing out in front of them. It was a believable theory too. Showmances aren't new in Hollywood, and a decades-older leading man paired with a tabloid-famous co-star making a genuine comeback is exactly the kind of narrative a studio might engineer on purpose. It had precedence, it had motive, and it had timing on its side. Someone close to the film pushed back hard against the accusations, dismissing it as absurd and insisting what people were seeing was completely genuine. But denials from anonymous sources rarely settle anything, especially when the source doing the denying is just as anonymous as the one making the claim. The question just sat there, unresolved for months. Real or fake? with no one who knew the truth willing to say it out loud. And the movie itself long since faded from the weekend box office conversation while the rumor about its starts kept growing. That changed in December. Anderson sat down in an interview and for the first time spoke without any filter, without a publicist's carefully worded statement standing between her and the truth. What she said didn't just confirm romance, it rewrote the entire timeline the public thought they understood. She admitted that yes, she and Neeson had in fact been involved, but not when everyone assumed, not during the press tour, when the world was watching every move. It had happened earlier, quietly right after filming had wrapped, long before a single camera caught them together promoting the movie, long before anyone outside their immediate circle had any reason to suspect a thing. Which meant the affectionate press tour everyone had spent a summer obsessing over, the holding of hands, the almost kiss on live TV, Neeson's declaration of love wasn't actually the beginning of a relationship blooming in real time in front of the cameras. It was something else entirely, the tail end of a story that had already played out. In private, months before the first red carpet photo was even taken, she described a stretch of time at Neeson's home in upstate New York, a period she later nicknamed her lost week, as if it existed just slightly outside of normal time, tucked away where nobody else could see it, no phones angled toward them, no publicists managing the narrative. There was gardening, she said. She remembered tending to an old rose bush overgrown with mint, restoring it while he watched, appreciative of the effort, the two of them working in a kind of comfortable quiet that had nothing to do with performance. There were quiet dinners, including one at a small French restaurant, where Neeson introduced her to someone at the table, not as a co-star, not as a friend, but as his future wife. And then, almost as if the story needed one more detail too strange to have been invented for a magazine, there was the bear. Anderson recalled Neeson standing at the breakfast window in his bathrobe, physically chasing a bear away from the house, unbothered, almost amused by it, like it was just another Tuesday morning upstate. It's not the kind of image a publicist dream up for a cover story. It's the kind of thing that only happens if you were actually there. But even as she gave these details, Anderson was careful, deliberately careful, to head off any assumptions that things had gone further than they had. She made a point of clarifying that she'd had her own room during her stay, that both of their assistants had come along, that family members had stopped by throughout the week. It wasn't two people hiding away in total isolation. It was cautious, chaperoned, almost the opposite of scandalous. Even while everything else about it sounded like something out of a movie neither of them had actually signed up to be in. Then came the part that undercuts the entire master plan theory completely. After that week, they didn't stay together. They went their separate ways, back to their own projects, their own lives, with no dramatic falling out and no scandal to leak to the press. Just two people quietly closing a chapter the rest of the world didn't even know had opened. Months before that same world would spend a summer convinced they were watching it begin. Which finally explains the press tour that started all of this when Anderson and Neeson reunited months later to promote the film. The chemistry the entirely world watched and picked apart wasn't two people falling for each other under the studio lights. It was two people who already knew exactly what they'd shared, stepping back into each other's orbits, with all of that unspoken history still sitting just beneath the surface. Every handhold, every lingering look, the almost kiss on live television, none of it needed to be invented or staged. And none of it needed a publicist's fingerprints on it. It was residual feeling for a week the public wouldn't learn about for another 5 months, playing out in plain sight and being read as something brand new. Anderson has been unambiguous about one thing, pushing directly back against the PR stunt theory that nearly rewrote her story before she got the chance to tell it herself. She described the whole experience as carrying a light, almost old Hollywood romantic comedy quality. But she made clear there was nothing calculated about it. She said she found it almost funny that people assumed it was manufactured, instantly flatly that the feelings were real, and that no studio note could have written the bear into the story even if it had wanted to. So where do those things leave now? Not a breakup, not a scandal, not even regret, really. Just two people who found something genuine, discovered it wasn't built to last as a long-term romance and landed somewhere steadier instead. She spoke warmly about his support for the new direction her career has taken. One built on exactly the kind of unfiltered honesty she finally gave the world in that December interview and said plainly that she expects him to remain part of her life regardless of what the romance did or didn't become. No dramatic ending, no tearful confession, just the truth finally spoken months after the rest of the world thought they'd already figured it out, when really everyone had only ever been watching the last page of a story that had started and quietly ended long before anyone was paying attention.